Hi, my name's Sam. I'm an English teacher at Beyond. If you tuned in yesterday, thanks so much for watching. I'm here again and I'm going to teach you another lesson in the narrative writing unit of work that we are putting on the Home Learning Hub on the Twinkle website on a daily basis. So this lesson is narrative writing characters. We're talking about characters. Um, what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and keep it a lot briefer than I managed to yesterday. It's a whole new world for all of us, and yeah, I think so. Watching it back through yesterday, the video was 43 minutes long, so I'm going to keep it briefer than that, and I'm going to build in sort of longer sections in which you can carry out some of the activities, so that you have a little bit more time to have a go at some of the tasks that I set. So narrative writing characters. Also, what I've done is I have neatly dated and titled and underlined. So narrative writing characters. That's your title for today. As I've said before, you can either you may have the lesson pack printed off. You may have a printer at home, so you may be able to print off the sheets, and in which case then work on the sheets. It may be that you don't and you're just working on paper, and in which case this is absolutely fine. You don't actually need the worksheets printed out to be able to use them. You may be working on a device, and also in that case, again, you don't need the worksheets. Just type into a notepad or whatever word processing function you have on your device. Okay, so who is your favourite character in a book or a film? That's the opening question. Who is your favourite character? Or if you don't have a favourite character, who springs to mind as a character that you really like, or a character that you really admire? And I thought to start off, to give you, to sort of help you to think the process, that I would tell you one of my favourite characters. One of my favourite characters is Frodo Baggins, who you may have come across. He's a character from the book or books Lord of the Rings, and also the film, which you may well be familiar with as well. So Frodo Baggins, I love Frodo Baggins, and one of the main reasons for liking him is the fact that he is just an everyday person. He is just a normal person who is swept up on this grand adventure beyond his wildest dreams. And it's a difficult adventure, and it doesn't necessarily end the way that he would want his journey to end as such. He doesn't go to the places that he would want to go to. And as normal everyday person, he has to react, he has to respond to the things that are happening to him as he goes through them. So he's a very a character that I'm very fond of. There is a favourite character sheet that you could spend some time filling in, and I recommend if you've got a little bit of extra time, you do think about your favourite character and think about all of the questions on that sheet. But I'm just going to jump straight to the two on the left hand side at the bottom, which are what are their weaknesses, what are Frodo's weaknesses, and what are their strengths. A good writer will lead their reader to understand a character's strengths and weaknesses through the way the character behaves and the actions they take, not through telling the audience directly they are good, they are bad, but they'll show that through what the character does. So they show, they don't tell, they show. Frodo's strengths then, he is determined. He has a mission and he is determined to do that mission, even though he is not fully equipped to do it, or at least he doesn't think he is. He is trustworthy. He will carry out his mission to no matter what end. He will carry it out. He doesn't have any interest in power, which is critical for what he has to do. He's having to destroy the most powerful object in the world, and that means he has to carry it with him. And he could use it to his own ends, but he has no interest in power. And he is resilient. He gets kicked around, beaten around by life during the course of 3 huge novels, and he keeps on going. Now, at no point does the author of that book, J.R. Tolkien, say, Frodo, he was really determined, he was. He was really trustworthy. At no point does he say that, because he doesn't need to say that, because he describes what Frodo is going through, and he shows us that Frodo is determined through the events of the story. And that can be through like a sort of one-off event, but it's also throughout the story. Weaknesses, I've got, he's not a mighty warrior, and in some ways that's almost, it is a strength as well. He's not a mighty warrior, so he's not kind of like big muscular guy who can wield a sword and take out loads of enemies. He's just a normal person, and that's a weakness in the sense of he's weaker than some of the other characters in the story physically, but actually that's possibly a strength as well. But like I say, J.R. Tolkien doesn't say he was a bit of a weed, he was. He just describes the character, he describes what he does. We know he's not physically an absolute through the descriptions, and he shows us that, he doesn't tell us. Bearing all this in mind, then, have a look at the Make It Better worksheet, which is a part of this pack. Let's have a read through that first description. He was tall and had dark, wavy hair. When he smiled, he had lots of perfect white teeth. He seemed perfect in every way, but in fact, he was a hard-hearted killer. Look at the left-hand side, your improved version. How might we improve this? Well, for one thing, there's a lot of telling. He had dark, wavy hair. How can we show this without telling? He's a killer. Show it. This is my own version of the top Make It Better. Dropping his freshly murdered victim to the floor, the man took a handkerchief from his pocket and wiped clean his bloodied knife. He pushed back the loose lock of dark hair that had fallen across his forehead and smiled his Hollywood smile. Now on to the next kill. I've lined it up on a notepad. Here we go. We have to kind of improvise, don't we, when we're working from home? So I've lined it up in that worksheet next to the original. And so basically what I've done is I've said, okay, so he's got dark wavy hair, but you're just telling me that he's got dark wavy hair. How can I communicate the fact that he's got dark wavy hair through his actions and what he does? And so therefore I've put that he pushed back the loose lock of dark hair, and it's just a little bit of character description, but also it's something that we could maybe develop a little bit. So maybe every time he kills somebody, a lock of his hair sort of falls down onto his forehead, and it's that sort of vanity thing of kind of just combing his hair back when he's gone for a kill. He doesn't want to look He doesn't want to look messy at all. He wants to look tidy. He wants to look smart. So that's possibly something. And then I went for the perfect white teeth. He's got a Hollywood smile. Well, why is he smiling? That actually plays into the fact that he's a hard-hearted killer. So even though he has just murdered somebody, we don't know the details from this piece of writing, but apparently in cold blood, he's still smiling, and he's smiling with that Hollywood smile, which when I say that, I mean kind of the sort of smile you imagine somebody like Tom Cruise having with sort of perfect set of teeth. Um, and then he was a hard-hearted killer, and so I've put that in a couple of times. He dropped his freshly murdered victim to the floor. I'm not going to tell you he's a killer. You know he's a killer because I've just told you he's killed somebody. Um, and the casualness with which he just takes out a handkerchief and wipes the knife tells you that he does this. It's not a one-off. This is something he does, and then now on to the next kill at the end there tells you that is what he does, and he does it all with a smile on his face, and he's not bothered, and that communicates that sort of hard-hearted um, word. So you can see very sort of basic description on the left-hand side, but on the right-hand side, I'm not telling you that I'm not describing it for you. Well, I am describing it for you, but I'm doing it through showing you why and how and what he is doing, not through telling you that's what he does. The other two, if I just clear that off for now, the other two below, the woman strode into the room and the boy was clearly terrified. They're slightly different because actually these ones include a little bit of sort of telling you the actions of the character, but there are plenty of things to get your teeth into and to try and bring out a little bit more through not through showing but through telling. Sorry, the wrong way around. Not through telling but through showing. So if, for example, the woman strode into the room commanding everyone's attention. You've told me that, but how? Show me that she's commanding everyone's attention. Don't just tell me. And that might be a piece of dialogue, for example. Everyone knew instantly that she was the expert on astrophysics that they had been waiting for. Everyone knew that. Well, you're telling me that, but show me that everyone knows that she's the expert on astrophysics. And likewise, the boy was clearly terrified. His hands were shaking and his eyes were dark with fear. He was wearing tatty clothes and had dirty fingernails. He looked like he hadn't eaten in a long time. Well, describe to me what does somebody who hasn't eaten for a long time look like? Show me, don't just tell me. Um, and so on. Have a go at those yourself. And in fact, have a go at the top one too. You could go back and look at my version and copy that in if you want, but it would be far more impressive if you can come up with your own. So take 10 minutes and have a go at developing those to something slightly better that does much more showing and much less telling. Okay, so now have a go at writing a character entirely from scratch. And you can use one of the character cards that come in the lesson pack. Or alternatively, if you want to sort of draw them entirely from your own imagination, then feel free to have a go at that as well. It may help you to use the Creating a Character reference mat, which is included as part of this pack. Remember that what you're concentrating on is not moving the story along, because that's in another lesson, but you're concentrating on bringing a character to life through showing what they're doing, not through telling what they did. So, what makes an effective character? The final worksheet that we've not looked at so far in the pack is a scroll, and it lists 10 bullet points on it which you can fill in. Instead of asking you what you think the 10 things are that would make an effective character, because I can't, because I'm talking to you on a recorded video, I've written down these 10 items. Please follow along and write them down yourself, or if you've got other ideas, then write those down as well. But I'll tell you what I've got from 1 to 10. Number 1, absolutely vital, the thing I've kept on saying: show, don't tell. Show how a character behaves, don't tell how he behaves. Number 2, strengths. Be aware of what your character's strengths are. And number 3, weaknesses. Be aware of what your character's weaknesses are. Number 4, a backstory. It will really help you to understand your own character better if you have developed a backstory by which that they've arrived at who they are today. Even if you don't actually communicate that backstory to your reader, you know more about your character, and therefore you'll be able to write them in a more rich way. Number 5, physical descriptions through actions. This is show, don't tell again, really, isn't it? Physical descriptions through actions. So don't just say he had dark hair. Say he pushed his hand through his dark hair. Don't just say she had a funny walk. Describe the way that they are walking, that she is walking. Personality through, so number 6, personality through actions. Another show, don't tell. So what is their personality like? Are they a good person or a bad person, or is there such a thing as a good person or a bad person? Just show what they are like through their actions, not by saying he was good, he was. Number 7, the way they talk, as in their dialogue. So when you make them speak, are you going to give them make them speak with a dialect, with a regional dialect? Are you going to make them speak in an unusual way? Are you going to make them speak in long sentences or short sentences? Number 8, the way that they interact with other people. That tells us a lot about the character. Number 9, the things that make them unique. What makes your character unique? What makes them interesting to read about? If your character's just like every other character in a story, which isn't actually possible, then that's not quite so exciting, is it? What makes them unique? What makes them special? The last one I've got, number 10, I was scratching around a little bit for a 10th item, but I've decided a good name. A lot of incredible authors just choose very carefully what the name of their character is, even before they start. And that gives them a good kind of foundation upon which to build a much kind of more detailed character. A name can give you quite a lot, so think carefully about that. There you go. I hope that was of value to you. I hope that you've got down some good ideas. Please, again, feel free to, I have unlocked the comments on YouTube, so you now are able to comment. If you want to put in a character description that you've come up with into the YouTube comment, I would love to see it. But thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope you have a fabulous afternoon. Or I don't know what time of the day it is. I hope you have a fabulous time. Bye for now.